Hello! In this video, we are going to talk about summarizing a text. And the objective that we have for this lesson is to summarize a text, maintaining its main idea and supporting details. So I'm going to guide you in how to do that, okay? Let's start with the steps that we can use to summarize a text. As usual, the most important thing that we can do before we do anything that relates to manipulating a text, to summarize it, for example, is to understand it very well. All right? Goes without saying that we cannot work with it if we don't understand it. So first, understand the text. Then we have to identify the purpose of the text. That means the purpose that the author had when writing the text. Could be to persuade, to inform, to convince you of something, to denounce something, etc. So you will have to see what the purpose of the text is when you understand it. And also you have to understand the purpose that you have for summarizing the text. If you're criticizing the text, you are going to include some information that helps your purpose for your summary. If you're just conveying the same type of information that the text is giving to the audience, then you will have also a different arrangement and selection of information from the text to include in your summary. All right? The purpose is very, very important. Then you have to select important information, and that important information depends on your purpose. All right? So it is very important to know that, to keep that in mind all the time. And then what you need to do is to identify the main ideas. So the main ideas will have a different, let's say, hierarchy or the different levels of importance according to the purpose that the author has with the text. So the main ideas will depend on what the author thinks is important according to the purpose that he or she has in writing the text. All right? The main ideas will be usually at the beginning of a paragraph, and that is what we call topic sentences. So it's a sentence that summarizes what the text is going to be about. It's usually in the first or second sentence of the paragraph. We need to identify also some supporting details that the author provides to complete or emphasize the idea that he wants or she wants to get across in the paragraph. So it will make a main claim and then support that with extra information that completes the idea that needs to be presented in a text. Also, when you are summarizing, you may have to choose to omit some information that is not important. I've written here unimportant information, but that means that it is not necessary that it is not important at all, but it is not important according to the purpose of the text, or that you just think it is not as important as what you have chosen as the most important ideas, the main ideas. For example, if there are some anecdotes or some illustrations, some examples, that may not be so important as the main idea of the text or something that summarizes that. All right? And once you have selected the main ideas and the supporting details, you may need to paraphrase those main ideas. And you already know how to paraphrase an idea. Remember that you don't change specialized vocabulary, and you may use the second tip that I have here for you, which is you can change the structure of a text. If you haven't studied something related specifically to paraphrasing a text, let me give you that in changing the structure, you may start from a different point in the sentence, or you may use different structure like passive, active voice, etc. But let me give you some tips specifically related to summarizing a text. For example, you may have to keep relationships of contrast, cause and effect, etc., that appear in the original sentence, in the original text. If they are contrasting things, you have to contrast those things in your summary. All right? You may need to change the grammar of the text, that means the structure. If there are some long sentences, you may break them up into smaller portions, or you can combine short sentences into a big one, a longer one. And mostly, you have to simplify the text. All right? Once you have that, you may have to rewrite the main idea in connected, complete sentences, for example, using conjunctions, connectors like therefore, since, however, although. You may have to establish those relationships yourself so that you can put them together in a sentence. Finally, you can edit and revise your summary according to the purpose, to the meaning, and the style that you want to give. This illustration that you have here shows us how we can identify the main ideas. You see that they're highlighted there, and the main or the supporting details. Once you select them in the text, you can summarize them, you can compress them, let's say, and with those ideas already established there, that those are the ones that you are going to include, then you rewrite them, having the original text expressed in a shorter version of it. All right? So I have a practice activity for you, and that involves this. Summarize the following paragraph, including the main ideas, of course, and information from the supporting details, naturally. All right? Main ideas and supporting details. What you're going to do then is you're going to highlight, let's say, or choose the main idea and supporting details, and then you compress it and rewrite it, paraphrasing some of that information. All that information, actually. All that information. I'm going to read the text with you just to explain a few vocabulary terms that may be important to you, and then you are going to proceed with the summary. All right? It says, dolphins are extraordinary creatures. There are about 50 different species, two pronunciations for that, of dolphins, including the oceanic dolphin family, right? The dolphins that live in the ocean, and the porpoise family, and the river dolphin families. They are just different species of dolphins. Actually, you may look up the pictures of these, and you will see that there are a few differences in terms of how they, the way they look. All right, they are actually mammals. Right? They explain this. That is the main idea. They explain this. They give birth to their offspring. Offspring means their children, the baby dolphins, let's say. And they feed on their mother's milk. That's what makes them mammals. All right? That is an explanation of that important information, of that important idea of them being mammals. Some species stay with their maternal family for life, their mother's family. They are among the most intelligent. Okay, there's a different idea. They are among the most intelligent animals on the planet. How are they intelligent? They explain this. They can communicate with various sounds like squeaks, very high-pitched sounds like the ones that the mice, for example, make. Yes, or guinea pigs, if you know them. Moans, clicks, whistles, and more. All right. They also have echolocation skills. So that's how they are intelligent, and they explain this. They produce high-frequency clicks and interpret the echoes of sound waves that bounce off the objects near them in the water. So they emit some sounds, and as those sounds reach some objects, they reflect back to them and they can interpret that. That's being very, very smart. Unfortunately, that is a connector, but that implies some contrast there. Unfortunately, they don't escape from the consequences of human activities. Many species, remember, are considered endangered. Endangered means that they are they may be disappearing if we don't do something about it. So they are in danger of disappearing. Marine pollution and fishing malpractices like fishing nets and dynamite fishing nets, large nets for fishing, and dynamite fishing threaten their survival more and more every day. So they are in danger, and the threat involves that kind of fishing with large nets and dynamite. All right, so now it is your job to take this paragraph, select main ideas, compress it, let's say, put it together, and rewrite it with the paraphrasing tips that you already have for that. All right, so I am going to ask you to please pause the video, complete the activity, write your summary, and then I'll show you some sample answer. Okay, go ahead. Pause the video, complete the activity, please. All right, thank you for having done that. And here I have some sample answer, but before, let me show you how we highlighted some important information. Here you are. You see, those are the let's say, the ideas that need to be included in the summary. The purpose of the summary was to inform about dolphins. So that is the idea that we have here as well. All right. So this is a sample summary. It could be different from what you have, but it includes all the ideas. Let me read it with you. Dolphins are extraordinary creatures, and that is the main big idea of this. How are they extraordinary? And here we have some supporting details, of which there are about, of dolphins, there are about 50 different species or species. These mammals give birth to their offspring, which feed on the mother's milk. Yes, among the most intelligent animals on the planet, we're getting two different sentences, putting them together in one. Dolphins have a complex system and even echolocation skills. That means that they are explaining, they are naming the two characteristics, but they're not explaining what each of them refer to. So the, let's say, unimportant information has been omitted here. Unfortunately, marine pollution and fishing malpractices, so they're not specifying what are the fishing malpractices, what the fishing malpractices are. They're not saying which one, but they're saying that the nets and the dynamite, they're compressed into the term fishing malpractices, are threatening their survival increasingly. Remember, every day more and more, so increasingly, and endangering many species. All right, so this is a sample summary. Of course, you may have a different one, but this is something that will help you use as a reference for how to summarize a text. All right, I would like to ask you to please listen to the pronunciation of this paragraph, and you practice with a native speaker. All right, so you practice after you hear each sentence using the same speed and pronunciation of the native speaker. Go ahead, listen and practice, please. Go ahead.
Dolphins are extraordinary creatures of which there are about 50 different species. These mammals give birth to their offspring, which feed on the mother's milk. Among the most intelligent animals on the planet, dolphins have a complex communication system and even echolocation skills. Unfortunately, marine pollution and fishing malpractices are threatening their survival increasingly and endangering many species.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for having done that. And remember that in this video, in this lesson, we have seen some ideas that we can use when we are summarizing information, because that is very important in our academic activities involving English and academic information, of course. Thank you very much for having been with me in this activity, and I will see you in the next video.